Tuesday, for about 3 months, we went to Gurnard parties and we danced. Salsa, waltzing,
Sweet.
We didn't go to all the sessions, and we didn't actually manage to go for very long. 3 months doesn't seem to be long enough for me to consider myself a professional. But we went because Annette wanted to go. I didn't want to go. I can barely walk in a straight line, never mind dance and put my feet where I'm supposed to, without tripping over Annette or treading on the people in front of or behind. I'm more Fred Flintstone than Fred Astaire. I was quite pleased with that one. It's not that good, it's just that I was quite pleased with that. But we went because Annette wanted to go. Annette isn't here, so I can say that actually I quite enjoyed it, but I don't want you to tell her. You might be here tonight because you might not really want to, but your wife or your husband really wanted you to be. So you might be looking at the clock and thinking, right, I'll stop talking in about 55 minutes or so. But you're here, so well done. You've taken the time from a busy schedule. Some people have even rushed their tea to be here on time at 7 o'clock. To sit and listen and think. And that's what many people don't do in many marriages ever. So well done. You may have looked at the sheet, and all I'm going to do is just talk through some of those things that are there. I'm not here talking because I think I have any answers. If Annette was here, she would 100% agree with that. Or that I have a perfect marriage. Annette once described her marriage as slightly above average. I think I've told you that before. It's not much of a compliment, but I hold on to that slightly above average thing. But just to talk and encourage you to think about some of the things on the sheets. When we start the discussion, the answer is about being honest, though. Being honest with yourself and the person who sat next to you. Some people, especially in marriage, have long worn a mask and said, yes, thank you, everything is fine. And now is as good a time as ever to face up to the harder issues in marriage and to be honest with one another. It's also important to know that some statistics say most marriages break up not because of large issues, but because of everyday pressures that become unbearable. So, like we've just done, we'll start off by talking about communication. One more. There is a French saying, because it would be a French saying, I suppose. It is not only necessary to love, but it is necessary to say so. If today you haven't told the person you are married to, who sat next to you, that you love them, take a moment now. I'm an old romantic at heart, you see. My wife's not here. So, every day I send Annette an email at work, and in that email I tell her that I love her. I actually put it in quotes and I put LUV_YN. It's the closest I can come to text speech. But communication is more than that. In the email I also ask her how the day is going. I've paid attention the night before to what she's going to do at work, the meeting she's going to, the people she'll be working with, and I send a simple email to let her know that I'm thinking about her and that I've listened to her. Lack of communication doesn't mean not talking about anything. It means not talking about anything that matters. What matters to your husband and wife? What are their biggest fears and worries at the moment? What are their hopes and dreams? Paul Tillich, who I've never heard before, said, the first duty of love is to listen. There we go. There is a very important word to remember when communicating with someone that you love. This is a picture of Ryan O'Neill. Ryan O'Neill was a massive sex symbol in the 70s. I think it's got something to do with the name. He's most famous for playing Oliver in Love Story. The tagline to Love Story, if you can't read it, says love means never having to say you're sorry. There's the important word, sorry. Now, I've not been married for as long as some of you sit in front of me, but I think that that's absolute rubbish. If there's one thing I'm certain about, it's that men and women are different, like the book title says. Men are from Portsmouth, women are from Southampton, or whatever the book title says. And that difference means that we say, or we do, or we think things that make our partner unhappy. And sometimes just being able to say sorry is important. For some people, sorry is a very hard word to say. It can take me days to say sorry sometimes, which is strange, given how much practice I've had. When we are wrong, we should simply say so and say sorry. One of the boxes on the sheet says resolving conflict. And it's so much easier if the person who is in the wrong simply says so. Few people enjoy conflict, but in itself it's not a bad thing. The important thing is to remember how to deal with it. The best advice I've ever heard is to stick to the point. If your argument is about forgetting to put petrol in the car, talk about forgetting to put petrol in the car. Don't let it escalate out of control. Stick to the point and resolve the immediate conflict. Don't bring up long forgotten hurts to win an argument. Discuss what needs to be discussed. Which then talks about memory and brings on the question about memory. Think back to your school days. Do you remember the number pi?